Yes, good evening to you, everybody. Welcome to the today class of this how to write the thesis or dissertation and what are the guidelines would be there. Today I am going to teach it by taking the one of the example of the Hamza Mohammadi Ali who wrote this, and I would like to discuss on this point today. So let us see that the first point is St. Augustine University of Tanzania. Yes, it is a heading. There should be the capital letters and bold and center and doesn't go with any punctuation. After Tanzania, there is no full stop, no comma, no any other punctuation. In the middle, School of Law is there. Generally, the School of Law, either you can write in the small letters or you can write the capital letters, but generally the heading and subheading should be in the capital letters. But exception cases where we can say the School of Law could be written in the small letters, but S should be the capital letters and L should be the capital letter, but not off, because the proposition should not go with the any capital letters like that. Prepositions, conjunctions, and article, they should not be used a capital letters because they should use only the small letters. That is the rule position. The effectiveness of the law and practice in protecting the right to vote for the prisoners and the detained persons in Tanzania. That is the title of the, either it is a LLM, it is a dissertation, if it is a PhD, we can say it is a thesis. So that is the terminology we should have to use it. So, a research proposal in partial fulfillment of the requirement for the award of the degree of the Master of Law, that is the LLM, that is the Master of Law, St. Augustine University of Tanzania, Hamza Mohammadi Ali, that is the name of the supervisee, May 2022. So when you see the introduction, and at the time, generally we should not go with the introduction. Of course, if the research proposal is there, we can say in that introduction, if it is a thesis going to write in the first chapter, generally the first chapter we should say CHAPTER chapter, and we can say the hyphen, then ONE1, then it goes with the subheading, the general introduction or a background to the introduction. So these are the subtitle you should use it when you make the chapterization. But here, when you make the proposal, yes, we can say 1.1 introduction, but generally, when you count the Arabic numerals, you should go with the zero. Without the zero, the one will not come. So it's more better to write the 1.0. So that is the best method to use it. So 1.0 here we can make it out. 1.0 is an introduction. So that is the way that we have to make it out. So let me highlight it, the introduction, because I made the correction for this one. Okay. And next comes the 1.0, that is the introduction. After zero, there should not be any full stop, any punctuation. And this is the side heading. Side heading rule is always it should be the small letters and bold, but the first letter should be the capital letter, but except the conjunctions, prepositions, and articles that I already told you. So this study puts a discussions at the core of our democracy, whether the constitutional right to vote for prisoners and the detained person in the legal custody is effectively protected by the law in Tanzania. It's well and good, but when you write it, you should see that in which tense that you are writing. So it is a present tense that you are writing here. So naturally, when you say the past action, you should put it in the present perfect tense or the past. But when you put the past, there should be a timing factor should be there. Right to vote is necessary to a democratic state like Tanzania. When you write the state, generally state you represented a Tanzania, then it should be the capital letter, preferably. However, the right is to be enjoyed by every person, provided this right is a universal right and is provided in the Constitution of United Republic of Tanzania. Um, but after that, the law and practice in Tanzania limit. See here, you have to make it either we could break the sentence and you write it in a simple present or simple past. But we can continue in this manner. The law and practices in Tanzania limit some citizens to exercise these fundamental rights that affect the human life basing on their legal status. Yes. And when you come to the matter of the elections, suppose if it is a separate para, some more space should be given over here. If it is a separate para, yeah. Election always determine the directions of the country by electing the leaders which hold the usefully the vision of the society and are on the position of the determine what are the needs of the people. Okay, it's very good. But now let us go to the right to vote should not be access to everyone, whether to the prisoner being the civil prisoners or the criminal prisoners. Of course, the two prisoners are there. There, either a person who did the criminal activity, then will become under the criminal prisoners, and if he does a civil activity, the offense, then will become the civil prisoners. And detained persons in legal custody, law should be amended to command the fixing of the polling station in those areas that makes the enjoyment of this right possible to include these persons in the decision-making table. So even the criminals should have the right to vote. So they also given a chance to see that whose government should have to be rule the country. The world community have already committed in the year 1963 through the civil and the political rights conventions where there was agreed the right to vote to be enjoyed with no restriction through. Though before this time, in the 1948, the Universal Declaration recognized the Bill of Rights, some African countries for many years have the practice this right. Such states are like, when you say the states, better you keep the state, yes, it should be the capital letter, Zimbabwe, Kenya, and South Africa. When you write the South Africa, the S should be the capital letter because it's the name of a country. The list is not exhaustive. Okay, that's good because it is a blanket clause, we can make it out. This study is therefore to explore the effectiveness of the law practice protection of the right toward the prisoners and detained persons in Tanzania, not the right to be elected. Okay, see Article 21, sub Article 2 of the CAP. When you read the O should not be capital letter, it should be a small letter. And CAP is an abbreviation, so any abbreviation and this is a shortening. The cap means chapter. In the shortening form, hence the C should be capital letter and AP should be small letter, and later it should be stopped with the full stop. True of the law of the Tanzania as amended time to time. And moreover, the another rule is that every footnote ends with the full stop. And now here the researcher, the candidate made a good thing that he ends with the full stop. Well and good. I already told you when you say 1.0 at the time, then it automatically becomes 1.1. Yes, the background of the problem. During the colonial period, the right to vote, of course, when you want to write the background of the problem, one should have to keep in mind, especially. But I already told you that what should be there in the background of the problem. And when you want to see my case, my article, yes, which I put it over here, yes, this is my article, and where I made it very much clear what are the content should be there in the writing the statement of the problem and other things. So this is the thing, International Journal of the Science and Commerce. My article was published and is a joint author. The legal research proposal for students of law. It is me, Professor Dr. Mohammed Saheb Hussain, and Mohammed Masood Khartoumi is one of the employee in the University of Dodoma in the school in the Faculty of Law. And of course, I have given the abstracts and key words also research, legal research, element of research proposal, and these are things. In introduction, I gave the word about the research, but what actually should be there that I made very much clear in this article. And if you just scroll on this article, that's generally I shared this article with each and everybody. And if you go through the article, you could know that what should be written in introduction and background to the problem. So when you say the introduction, you should keep in mind what are the things should be there in the introduction. And these things should be reflected in your work. If not, your work will not be as good as I said. In introduction, excuse me, in introduction, the forms part and parcel of the research proposal of the research or study. The researcher is expected in this part to clarify and clearly introduce his or her topic for the readers or the reviewers to understand what exactly the research or study conducted intended to give the what a message. And this part basically deals with the following hints for the researcher preparing the research proposal must know as. So these are the bullet points should have to clearly reflected in your introduction. So first bullet point, yeah, if any participant you are present over there, please read what I posted on the bullet point. Yes, participant, please read. Anyone can unmute and read. I don't know whether it is a problem of the internet or any other thing. Okay, let me read it. Stating clearly as what does the topic or title. So your topic should be very much clear that what is the topic and title that you have chosen, and specifically relate to, for example, whether it is a field of public law, whether it is a field of private law, whether it is the international law, whether it is civil law, whether it is criminal law, whether it belongs to procedure law, and what it exactly in which branch it belongs. That should be reflected over there. I don't know whether the candidate has written in such a manner here or not. Let me check it in the background of the problem that he made. Now let us see the introduction of what he said. The study put a discussion, the core of our democracy, whether the constitutional right to vote, but he should have to write it very much clearly. The study which the research is going to deal is about the constitutional law, that is about the right to vote. And for prisoners and detained persons, the legal study is effectively protected by the law in Tanzania. So you have to make it very much clear that the study which is going to make it is the constitutional law. And whether the constitutional law is a procedural law or a substantial law, the answer is it is a substantial law. So it's more better to write that the study which are going to deal is the substantial law and is preferably the constitutional law, whether the prisoners are having the right to vote or not. That should be very much clearly reflected over there. Okay, now let us go to the another second bullet point, which I made it very much clear in my work is the viability of the topic to do the research. The viability means how far this topic is very much important and he should be very much clear in his writing. Now let us see that whether he could write it or not. Right to what is necessary a democratic state like a Tanzania? Yes. Of course, it shows the indirect from the viability. However, the right is to enjoyed by the every person provided this right is universal right and is provided in the Constitution of the United Republic of Tanzania. Yes, because every person having the right to vote, if the right is not used over there, that is nothing but the infringement of right. For that, a remedy would be there for the civil action. So that would be a quite good idea to make it out, and that one should have to keep in the mind. So now I think he is directly or indirectly has shown that yes, the importance of this viability of this right to vote is for the prisoners is there or not. So that way we can establish it. Okay, I accept it. Then the third bullet point is stating clearly the nature of the subject in relation to the proposed topic at hand. So whether this is reflected in the work of a candidate or not, let us see that. Election always determine the discretion of direction of the court by electing the leaders which hold the usually the vision to the society and are on the position to determine what are the needs of it. Yes, indirectly that he definitely says the importance of this election because it says the society as well as the nation. Now, the right to vote should not be access to everyone, whatever the prisoners being the civil and prisoner. So, in one way, in another way, the student has made a good study and made the introduction, which is as per my norms are concerned. Let us see the another bullet point. What I stated here is the fourth one is showing any possible relation of the subject, for instance, whether the proposed topic covers both the national and international law or not. So now let us see that whether that point is covered in the Hamza. So the studies therefore explore the effectiveness of the law and practice in protection of the right to vote. The prisoners detained in the prison in Tanzania, not right to be elected, is a national one. Of course, the right to vote is not an international, but I believe that international instruments also say the right should be there over there. Yeah, in that way that we can make. So, in other words, the candidate has followed the introduction part, whatever that point, the four bullets which I highlighted, indirectly or indirectly, it is mentioned over there. Yes, I appreciate. In one way, in another way. Yes. The answer is yes. Now let us see the next background to the problem. In background to the problem, one should have to keep in the mind forming an important part of the research proposal for the research or study. The researchers, while preparing the background, the problem must cover the following components. Like whether this component is present on the there or not for the background of the problem, you have to see it. What is the first bullet? Anyone can unmute and read? Participants, anyone can unmute and read that what is the first bullet? Okay, let me read it. The first bullet is the researchers intending to carry out the research. The oblique or the virgule study must clearly indicate what is created him or her in mind about conducting such a research or study. So the point is very much clear. The researchers intend to carry out the research study must clearly indicate what created him or her in mind, how he got an idea, what an idea he got it, and what made him to do the research on the particular topic. That should be very much clearly mentioned. Now let us see the student whether he mentioned such a thing or not. Background to the problem. Yes, background to the problem. Let us see that. Okay, during the colonial period. Okay. The right to vote for the lower house of the colonial legislature had been defined in traditional British terms. Only people who had a freehold landed property sufficient to ensure that they were personally independent and had a vested interest in the welfare of their communities could vote. However, at the time, the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, okay, he has shown that the necessity of making the voting with the national, the international instrument and provide for the right to vote for everyone. The law which establishes the right does not outline any limitation. So the right to vote is not there, and that made him to make it to study this law. And yeah, in indirectly that he has made very much clear, but he should specifically write that the right to vote for all the person as per the democratic that the rule of law is there. At that instance, that made me to write even the prisoners also human beings and they should have the right to vote. However, the time of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights came and provided for the right to vote for everyone. The law which established this right does not outline any limitations in any way, as I stated before, under the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, and that is said to be the mother of the human right production and promotion of the human rights, where we can say, I believe in 1948 it is made. So, in the light of the article, no one has to be deprived his right to vote. Yes, the instruments say everyone should have the right to vote. In other hand, or in other words, the International Convention on the Civil and Political Rights, this also made the later part, but it is have the good teeth to promulgate or enforce the and force the enforcement machinery to follow these rights. Calls the state members to recognize the right to vote without unreasonable restrictions or limitations are currently practiced in Tanzania. Yeah, the point which I made it, yes, he has covered over there in one form the viability and what the necessity would be there and why we should have to study a particular point. What is the idea behind it? That made very much clear in that point. The second bullet is he or she, the researcher who wants to make it out in this part, show as to what made him or her interest to conduct such a research study. So that also a student has covered in this work what made him to conduct this study because every human being is having the right to vote. Even the international instrument says, even the local statutes including the constitution also guarantee such a thing in the Tanzania. Furthermore, the African Charter on the Human Rights and People Rights, this also make a clear-cut idea, right to vote. The Charter provides for the freedom of all the persons without discrimination to participate in the government affairs by choosing their representatives. Yes, that he made a justification when you are writing the background to the problem, and I'm sure that it will be quite worth enough and a good example. So if you go further, let us see the how he wrote the footnote is concerned. Yeah, footnote generally we have to adapt the way that it should be done. Of course, he might have followed the footnote where the South has given the direction because after the author, they will write the year and later on the title of the book and followed with the. But one thing is missing over there because after title of the book, there should be imprint and the imprint should have the three prongs. Number one, place of publication. Number two, name of the publishers. Number three, the year of publication. And this should be appeared over there. But before that, even if there is an edition, the edition should have to come before the imprint. After the edition imprint, that means which I told three prongs, the place of publication and the name of the publisher and the year of the publication. At the last, that we can say that if it is quoted from the page number one or page number so and so, the small p full stop and the numbering of the should be in the Arabic numerals. And as a rule, every endnotes with the full stop. So that one should have to follow it. Yeah, here it is right at. You need not to write it. But once you write the full stop, then you small write P and the full stop, then 2. But there is no full stop that I found here because the small p generally is an abbreviation. One form is a shortening. But here in the shortening, we don't write the capital P, but the new style is that small p. Like when the parties are there, there's like, for instance, you take the Donegal versus Stevenson. When you write the verses, we don't write the capital VERSUS verses. But we generally, the new style is small v, and that to be the verses is a Latin terminology, hence it should be in italics, small v and full stop. That is the new style of writing the title of the case law. Okay. So here in the also small p full stop, the Arabic numeral 1, 2, 3, then the ends with the full stop because the general rule is there's every footnote ends with the full stop. Now let us see the second footnote, Universal Declaration of Human Rights of 1948. Yes, ends with the full stop. Either you can write off or you can write human right, comma, 1948 also. This is also the way that you should have to write. Yes, because all the international instruments we can say only the articles, but we don't say the sections. Hence, 21 and 3 is called. Sometimes, if it is a clause or it is a subclause, it is a subsection. It depends upon the how it is narrated in the instrument. So that is Article 21 and Subarticle 3 or the Clause 3, Universal Declaration of Human Rights of 1948 ends with the full stop. In the same manner, if if it is a small b within parentheses, you should do the small b. Like the fifth footnote, Article 25, if it is a small b in the instrument, then you should use the small b. If it is a capital B in the instrument within the parentheses, we should use the within the parentheses. If it is not there, if it is inserted over there, then we can say that 25 capital B, we can make it out. That depends upon when the amendment is made and what it is done. So in the International Covenant of Civil and Political Rights, yes, I already told you either you can write off or you can write the comma or the year. So both the way it is acceptable. And the sixth footnote is concerned, yes, see Article 13, either Subarticle 1 or Clause 1 of the African Charter on the Human People Right in 1981. But the human rights people, that is the Charter on the Humans and People Rights, and this court is, and you know that where it is situated. Any participant can say that in the African continent, where the to protect the human rights, there is a Charter of the Human and People Rights, where it is situated, the court, I mean to say. Yes, anyone, the participant can give the answer to my question. Quick. Participants, are you ready? The answer is Arusha. In Arusha, in the Europe, and sorry, in the African continent, for the people's production, promotion and production of a court is established over there, and that court is in Arusha. That is the people's and the humans and the people's right uh, court is established over there. But when you see that only three courts are there, I already told when I was discussing the international human rights law, and the three courts are in that. Like you say, there is in the Washington, it is there. a court which will deal about the human rights. When you come to the matter of the African continent, the Narusha is there. When you come to the European Court of the People's Human and People's Right Court is there to protection of the human rights and promotion, then it is Strasbourg in France. Yes, these are the things. And the seventh footnote, Tanzania Human Rights Report, Legal and Human Rights Center, 2010, page 96. But generally, when you are writing the book should have the author and the title, edition, and the imprint, and later on we can cite it if the pages they want to make it out. If the particular pages are there from 71 to 76, for instance, then the small p, full stop, that is the style of writing. But don't write the capital P and small p and full stop. That both are the small p's and full stop, and then 71 to 76 that you can write it. When you're writing the 71 to 76, either you can use the hyphen or better you can say 71 to up to that is 76, then the full stop. That is a good way of writing the thesis or article is concerned. So here is well and good. Article 5 provides the right to vote. It is very clearly mentioned. The article provides, among the others, the first and foremost crucial qualification for the right, and he justified in the background to the problem is concerned. Now let us see that what are the content should be there in the statement of the problem. When you happen to see my article, and I made it very much clear, what are the components should be there. The statement of the problem, of course, the components are, which I put it in the bullet point. Yes, anyone can unmute and read that. What is the bullet point? Anyone, the participants? Okay, the first bullet point is absence of law. Is there law is not present over there? The problem that we are going to make it out. Number one, let us see that whether the candidate has made such an attempt to see that absence of law. Okay, let me go to the point, the statement of the problem. The right to vote in Tanzania governed by the various laws which provides on the enjoyment of the right, responsibilities and procedure to be adhered in and exercising the right to vote in the Tanzania. However, despite the fact that the Constitution of the United Republic of Tanzania and the National Election Act and the Local Government Election Act respectively recognize the right to vote. Yes, it is said that right is available over there in the form of the statute. Then what is wrong? When the rights are available over there, when there would not be any special legislation to be enacted over there, at that instance, the answer should be given. Yes, the act is there, but the implementing machinery is not that much effective enough to implement the decision of the court. Yeah, that we can say Lakune. So the situation is surprisingly different. The prisoners are not allowed to vote and the detained persons. And but the situation very much clear there that prisoners are not allowed to vote. And when they are detained in the prison, that's why their fundamental rights in one way, in another way, express their views to elect the or choose the government, it will be curtailed over there. The fact that the prisoners and detained persons are also citizens, they are also human beings of the country and are not allowed to vote by reason of their legal status and against the constitutional law. The constitution provides that every person is having the right to vote, but when the practicality is concerned, it is not possible over there. Okay. Okay, continue it. This study, therefore, will examine the effectiveness of the law in protecting the right to vote for the prisoners and detained persons in democratic state like the Tanzania. Yes, the students has very much justified why he wants to study, whether the law is there or not. If the law is there, whether implement machinery is in a proper way or not, that should be very much clear. But I did not see that because law is there, but he did not make it. Please make the student the fact that the prisoners detained the person are the citizens of the country and are not allowed to vote by reason of their legal status in against the constitution of itself. This study, therefore, will examine the effectiveness of the law in protecting the right to vote for the prisoners and a detained person in democratic state like Tanzania. Yes, even though the right is there, that but it still is not promulgated over there. Meant effective machinery should be there. So one word should be there. There is no lack of effective machinery would be there to implement the existing laws for the people, those who wants to vote. That much should be reflected. So the student, please keep in the mind that idea should come over there. Then another bullet point which I want to make it out is Inefficiency of the law. Yeah, here the inefficiency of the law is there, means law is there, but the effective machinery is not there. That's why the lacuna would be there, and the no effective machinery. And if the effective machinery is there, but the law still is having the gap, then the amendment should be done. That we can make it in a suggestion. The implementation and enforcement of the law. Just before I told you that if the law is there, but there no enforcement machinery, and particularly that at that instance, but when law is there, then it becomes a fatal, because when it is not promulgated or effectively enforced over there, then it becomes a fractious. So that point also to be highlighted when you are writing the statement of the problem. Then the last bullet is say the court interpretation of such law may be wrong or etc. So even the judiciary, how it can be interpreted, that also should become, but that thing is not missing over here. So here I advise that the judiciary, yes, the judiciary say even though the law is present over there, but the effective machinery is not there. Hence, implementation could not be to that much effective, and hence the teeth of the enforcement machinery should be strengthened. So that idea should have to come out. So I asked the students to this student Hamza to incorporate that point also. So next comes to the point is concern significance of the study. In the significance of the study, basically the researcher has to indicate in this part of the research what to how this research is important, why this topic is important, what way this topic is useful to the society, what way this topic is useful to the national as well as the international, whether the topic how increase the GDP, or whether the topic only sensitize the matter, or whether the topic will make it to know the rights of a persons, or whether the topic will make it clear that whether the enforcement machinery is effective or not to implement the decision of the court. Yeah. So that would become over there. The findings of this research would be helpful in particularly to the students, and if you are the students and academicians and scholars and practitioners, judiciary, in addition to the in general to the nation, in general to the international, and particular to the nation. So that will be the quite a good idea to make it out. Participant, are you here? Yes, please try to participate whenever I want to ask the questions to you. Otherwise, it is a one-way traffic, because all the efforts I am taking and to give the coaching to you. But if you're not present over there, that I am not the loser, you are the loser. Please note the point. So now the next point is objective of the study. So in the significance of study, there are two objects are there. Number is objective study is the general objective is there, and he has the author is very much, and here the student has very much clearly made. This is divided into two parts of the general objective and the specific objective, which are both connected to the title of the study as follows. These objectives will answer the research questions. See, once the objectives are there, and once the hypotheses are there, because the research question is nothing but the specific objectives in one way in another way. So the specific objective means the variables depending upon that one. So they examine the effectiveness of the legal framework and the policies in protecting the right to the vote prisoners and detained person in Tanzania. There is one of the variable to get it. And the second variable is that to examine the challenges facing the prisoners and detained persons in relation to the right to vote. So whatever the difficulty they are finding it, whether the right is there, if the right is there, whether the right is implemented or not. So that also important fact. Because if we are merely saying the right is there without implementation, without enjoying the right, there is no use, there is no meaning of right. Because generally that our maxim is that you be just ibi remedium. Where there is a right, there should be a remedy. And that particularly, it is one of the trio maxims. In the trio maxims, yes, anybody can tell what is the trio maxims. Participants, especially when you want to speak of the law of tort. Number one, demnum sine injuria. Another, injuria sine demnum. And the third one is ubi jus ibi remedium. I repeat, ubi jus ibi remedium. These are the trio maxims. And next specific objective, they say to find out the solutions toward the right toward the prisoners and detained persons in Tanzania. Even a remedy also we can make it the one of the variable to slow. What the remedy would be available? Yes, we can make it the specific remedy. And the specific objective is going to be the research questions. And these are research questions, nothing but the specific objective to attain the general objective. So research questions again they put it one, two, three. But I told you that this is not the style of writing like this. Better you put in this manner, like I am showing here, and you write one small Roman, then Arister. So this is the style one should have to adapt it. So one, two, and this is three. Arister. So this is the file that you have to adapt it when you are writing the specific objective. Again, when you come to the comment on the footnote is concerned, C, and I already told you that cap is a shortening form where the C should be capital letter and AP should be small letter and ends with the, every shortening ends with the full stop. Hence, here the full stop should come. What is the another name for the full stop? Anyone? Participants. What is the another name for the full stop? Sir, dot. Generally, we'll say full stop or a period. Yes, that we can say it. So again, here the cap is an abbreviation, hence the C should be capital letter and AP should be small letter, ends with the full stop or the period. Then the 343, there is a chapter of the law of Tanzania, and cap again. We should have to make it out to 92 of the law of Tanzania because every footnote ends with the full stop. The student, the Hamza, did a good thing. So now let us see that when is the 1, 2, this is a 3. Automatically it became a 3 to find the solution. Yes, this is also one of the factors in the full stop. So research question as usual, because generally I told you that there is not the way of writing in that manner. So more better you write in this style. Arrestor should be there. That is a very good manner. Okay. And when you make it this thing also the same thing, 2, 2, then make it, then we can just 2 arrestor. And then this is the 3. Yes, 1, 1, 1, and 3 arrestor. And this is the style one should have to adapt it when you are writing. So preferably, please note because every writing should have its own format, but one should not forget it. The format, one should be there. Because generally, we cannot sip the tea in a mug or jug or a jar, but we sip the tea generally in a steel glass or a silicon glass. But the right way of the taking the sipping the tea is in cup and saucer. Please note the point. Format is also a very important factor. The scope of the study, it is written over there, but what I know that what I made it objective of the studies and general objective and specific objective I told you. And later on that the scope should not come over there. But anyway, the sequence depends upon the university policies. And later on the literature review should be there. After the literature review, only the hypothesis should come. Or sometimes the people use instead of saying the hypothesis, they will use the research questions. So let us see what the candidate has written here. The scope of the study, he wrote it, and significance of the study also he made it as per the sequence of the South, I believe, research methodology, what methodology that he has made it out to get the answers for their hypotheses or for the assumptions and the research type and the sampling design. In generally, the social science research, especially for the law research, it will be the not quantitative, it is a qualitative. However, the quality would be there, the quantitative will not be counted over there. In general, the sample size, yes, it should be targeted group and which group that you are going to make an interview with them, either the open questions, how the questionnaire should be there, and the questionnaire should not give an answer yes or no. Better it is given a chance to the respondent to give its full, what I say, opinion of him that what he wants to say. And that should be recorded over there rather than giving the multiple chance to the respondent, and he will take only one among them because indirectly that you are giving the answer to him what you want to get it. Of course, the data collection method is there, Of course, depends upon the nature of the work, how the data collection should be made, and what method should be adapted over there. So that one should have to frame it with the consultation of the supervisor also. And the documentary review is there, and the interviews method, questionnaire method, data analysis. When you are making the data analysis, yes, you can use the graphs. Either you can use the pie charts or you can use the bar charts, because that give the very much clear idea to the people, those who wants to read it. And the literature review, I told you know, the first and foremost, the literature review would come over there, because what are the books are available, what are the journals are available, reports are available, are the thesis or dissertation are available over there. Then we can make it out that yes, the people that who wrote it not dealt in a different way, but I would like to do in a different way because it is an innovatory research work. So that should be idea would come over there, and with the surname should have to come, and the full detail should be there in the footnote, and that's the way that one should have to make it out. And here the author made, the various authors have tried to write on the general concept of it, and here Mashamba, and he has quoted. And let me take the pride of to say Mashamba, and he is Mashamba J, and judicial production of the civil right, political right, Tanzania National Organization for the Legal Assistance and Publication in collaboration with the Institute of Public Policy and the Law Provision. Yeah. And this Mashamba, he is one of my PhD student in the Open University of Tanzania, and I am the supervisor to him, Julius. Yeah, I believe that Julius, its name is Mashamba. And we both together wrote the one book, The Child Rights in East Africa. It's me, and my joint author is Clement J. Mashamba. Of course, at the right time, at the right now, even he is one of the teaching staff in the LST, means Law School of Tanzania. Yes, and they also show some mechanism, and Niali Commission also that he has cited over there, and Mungi, yes, and everybody knows who is. I don't know whether I pronounced it in the right way or not, but the spelling is Mungi. The Breathing the Constitution Legal Human Rights Center, and everybody knows this Sengondo Mungi, and once he constituted for the president, and he is very much opposition. He is the founder to establish the Bagome University, and where I was one of the guest faculty, and at the time the vice chancellor is the present vice chancellor of the South Monza. Who is he? Participants. He is nothing but Ambassador, Professor Koshariki Mahalu. Yes, after once is after demise, everything is collapsed, and Bagoma University is no more now. Of course, R. Martin Lees, and it is said, and the method the adopted is different, but I did not see the name of the publisher. Of course, Handbook, University of Peace Publishers, but the place of publication, name of the publisher, and the year of publication, it should be clearly mentioned over there. Of course, edition is mentioned over there in a good manner, but acceptable way is better. After the author, there should be title. After the title, there should be imprint. No, after the title, there should be edition. After edition, there should be imprint. After the imprint, there should be a pagination. That is the style, which is very much adaptive, and it is nothing but the Turabian style or mended or blended form of the Chicago, and goes with the some of the stinge of the Harvard style also there. So combination of these styles will be used in the Asia and Africa, especially in the University of Dar es Salaam, that we used to make it out where I worked from the 2004 to 2015, and I elevated from the lecturer to the professor of law. But when I was staying there in the Dar es Salaam, but my professor of law is recognized by the Open University of Tanzania, and that is Tanzania. Okay. So now let us go to the point of study, and he made this much, and the now time is also up. And if anybody wants to ask any question, they can ask me so that I can give the clarification to you. And I'm sure that my lecture will be benefited to you in one form, in another form. Yes, what I stated here is no PP, small p, full stop. This is a very good style that Hamza has followed. 428 hyphen to 429, but this is not the right way, because when the only two pages are there, and the better thing is and ampersand in the English language. And this is the thing that we should have to make it out. 428 to 429, one should have to make it out. And that is the style of good writing, and one should have to make it out. And everything that what you speak will be recorded over there. And hence, please maintain the silence. Now, the only 1 minute or 2 minutes should be there to wind up my course. Yes, my teaching. And with this, that I would like to stop it. If any other thing would be there, you can ask me, and you can contact me either through the email or the my WhatsApp number, so that I could give the clarification to you. With this, that I would like to say goodbye. Have a yeah, Indota Injama, Asante Sana, Shukru Sana, Mungu Akabariki na Kukulinda. Yes, let me stop over here. End of the meeting.
Working on social media for my clients. I create a lot of video content